Hey everybody, come on in. It's Conspiracy Theories and Chill. You know what time it is? It's Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central. It's time to talk about conspiracies. It's time to talk some truth. And like Robert said, I got the truth. So come on in. That's all I know. Sometimes I may have missed the mark, but my intentions are always in the truth. So come on in. This is Conspiracy Theories and Chill. And Jacob, I know we're 10 minutes late, but I analyzed the feed from earlier just a bit to see what was going on with it, and I noticed we were being heavily throttled. So I dropped my frame rate, and I noticed we're still being heavily throttled. I apologize for the glitching in the video. I see that it's doing it on both platforms. I should have fixed it. I cut the frame rate in half. But let me get rid of the background music there. Welcome back to Conspiracy Theories and Chill. And what this is a conspiracy theory show. It's in the title. We talk about the truth. We talk about conspiracies. Any conspiracy. Anything at all that you want to get into. We usually have a short video that we watch at the beginning. But, like Robert said, one of the main things there would be to talk about right now is the coronavirus, which is being heavily throttled on YouTube. So I don't know how to make a video on the issues that we're facing right now when we're having these problems that it would be impossible to ignore. You mentioned the coronavirus, and anything not establishment approved, and your video instantly gets suppressed in the algorithm and held down. John says, the first disclaimer I've actually read, and I'm glad I did. I like that little disclaimer. I like to put that up there. Alex says, is the coronavirus caused by lizard people? No. The coronavirus is not caused by lizard people, nor am I going to say in this episode that the coronavirus isn't real. I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't make those kind of claims. That would be dangerous. You should take all precautions that you feel are necessary and be careful. What they recommend is to wash your hands really good and avoid people. I am personally concerned at how our economy moves forward in those conditions. I really apologize for the video element of this episode. Like I said, I tried to do something about that. I don't know if a lot of you realize that the suppression going on Facebook and on YouTube. It is a real thing, and I know, affects streams. And I think that's what's going on, because like I said, we were 10 minutes late, like Jacob pointed out. And the reason was I had to tweak some settings because there was a problem with the earlier stream. But no, Alex, I don't believe the coronavirus is caused by lizard people. I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities that it is a weaponized virus, for one. See, that's the thing that I love about this show. It is a theory show. We can talk about literally everything under the protection that sometimes I'm not talking about facts. I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a doctor. Let's get that out of the way right up front. But I know that there are a lot of doctors that if you listen to, they say that this fear and this panic is irrational and being pushed by the media irresponsibly. So John says, looks like Trump approved $500 billion for UBI. Checks to arrive early April. Nuh-uh. I'll believe that when I see it. So they approved sending every American a $1,000 check. Net says Hillary was spawned by lizard people. So Alex, Hillary may have been the creation of lizard people, but I don't think the coronavirus was. It would suit their agenda, though, because as we all know, the lizard people want to eliminate all of humanity. as of course they would, being how really we're only good to them as food and slaves. And Robert, I do. Quilted Northern. I do have toilet paper. I was not smart enough to stock up on it though. So I've got my 24 pack and I don't know what I'm doing after that. So things could get shady. You know, this fear scares me more than the virus. This fear is dangerous. And I said earlier on the Daily Burn that I would get into my opinion of what's going on here and my personal theory, since that is what this show is. And I'll front that with this as a theory. Kathy says we can pay our mortgage, but our utilities are another story. I have no idea what I'm going to do financially. They've already cut, I work in the restaurant industry, so they've already cut it down by 50%, our business, because they can't have the lobby open. So there are other restaurants in the area that have completely closed down, and that may be something that happens. Then I would have to rely on unemployment, which, as we all know, is next to nothing, and they would still take my child support from it. So there's no way I could survive if I was to lose my job over this. And $1,000 check is nice, but I'm going to go through that really quick. You know, this is bad what's going on. And Kathy says the virus is real, the panic is bullshit. Yes, there's a virus. I don't know to speculate, and again, I would be speculating on its origins and what it is. There is a virus, though. I do not think it warrants this global, what would the right word? I don't want to say fear 50 times in this episode, but I don't think it warrants it. And the stuff that's going on, shutting down countries, shutting down cities, cutting off people's incomes, it seems irrational. And it's causing mass panic. People are raiding the grocery stores. Most people can't afford to panic buy. You know, one of the first things I would do with the $1,000 check would be to stock up on essentials. Because I don't have the money to go into the grocery store and drop $300 to be prepared for a 2-week shutdown. I don't think most people do. John says, I thought I heard $1,500 per person, perhaps 3 payments over the next few months. Bernie was calling for $2,000 a month. Yeah, Bernie was. I don't know. I have to read the story that you're talking about, John, and see what they did approve in this package that you're talking about, this $500 billion for UBI. So I would have to look and see what they've went forward with and inform myself. I don't know. But how are you going to make use of the money when you get it if everyone's buying out the store out of fear? And then there's people that are buying out the store to profit from it, to sell things and price gouge for essential items. Kathy says we have a 16-pack of TP and a shit ton of veggies, man. Well, then you're in trouble. You're in more trouble than me. I got the 24-pack. And you should have seen my neighbors when I pulled it out of the back of the car. The envy in their eyes. Like, they might be. I'm locking the doors tonight. I got to tell you. I'm worried. Got to protect that stuff. Robert says watching Sean Yankee fights the virus. Fact. Like, I'm just talking about this fear is causing real problems. People having to go way out of their way to get necessary items like toilet paper. And why is everybody so terrified that we're going to run out of toilet paper? Does everyone not know that most, if not all, toilet paper is made in the United States? We're one of the biggest producers of toilet paper in the world. We're not going to run out of it. It's that the trucks can't keep up. There's no reason to panic buy everything. Helen says I'm on Social Security and won't get any of it. It's for taxpayers only. People on Social Security do not qualify for this, even though I'm still affected having to buy more expensive stuff because cheap stuff first off the shelves. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Like, this money, when we get it, how useful is it going to be, especially if it starts in April? Kathy says I'm buying plants and growing in buckets. I'm not scared. That's what we need to do, is be self-sustaining. That's the direction that we need to go in. We need to understand that society, as we know it, can crumble and the rug can be pulled out from under us at any moment. And my ultimate fear is that's what we're seeing right now. This is either the Black Plague or something is going on. And nothing else makes sense. Either this is a terrifying super virus that has the potential to wipe out humanity, and all this extreme fear is warranted, or it's not, and this is a distraction, and the hammer's about to drop. They're already talking about, there are people military people I'm seeing that are already talking about a heavy deployment coming up, and a lockdown of the United States for up to 2 weeks. I'm not prepared for that. I don't know anybody that is. And what is the implications of that? A military lockdown of the United States for up to 2 weeks. That's a terrifying thought. And that triggers my end times alerts. My tinfoil hat is on fire. It's another one of the reasons why I didn't really put together a complete video for tonight, because it's kind of all over the place. This is frightening. I don't see how our economy survives this fear. The fear is what's scaring me, way more than the virus. And I made a video on the virus, a short video for the channel recently, exploring what I found from the CDC's own site. And people are tearing it to shreds. I'm not a scientist. I was using information from them that I thought would be the most establishment-approved source to use, and comparing it to other viruses, other illnesses, such as the flu, and made a video on it. And people are losing their mind. I'm not saying there's not a virus. But isn't it a fact that we don't really have a test for COVID-19 in the United States? Or if we do, it has happened recently. Wasn't it up until recent that we didn't have a test, or that we don't? A coronavirus is a type of virus. So are these numbers being inflated? Is one concern of mine. And I think that's a relevant concern, because they're not saying COVID-19. They're not saying there's been 2,000 cases of COVID-19 in such and such a place and so many fatalities. They're saying from coronavirus. Well, a coronavirus is a type of virus. That's a wide blanket to throw over it. You could heavily inflate your numbers if that's the way you're doing it. This fear is being created. And it's being created in an irresponsible way by the media. If they really want to inform people, why aren't they lining up experts to truly inform people, instead of having talking heads sit and run their mouths about how terrified you need to be? I don't see how that's useful. I don't see how that's what we need to do. But Kathy's right though. Being self-sustaining is the best way to be right now. Unfortunately, because most people aren't. You know, luckily, my Babels is. You know, she could do all that stuff. If we come down to having to live off the land, you know, I will just have to make myself useful because she could do all that stuff. I am not that way. I'm an indoor girl. So I'm not great with survivalist type things. I would have to learn to be. Kathy says beans, beets, broccoli, onions, tomatoes, grapes, strawberries, blackberries, and elderberries. Man, you're pretty well covered there. But comment, let me know what you think. What do you think? Because I'm getting really worried, you know, and I'm seeing possible things happening like the internet being shut down. I think that's a real reality coming up soon. There's already heavy suppression going on. And there already was, but it's being ramped up to a level that's kind of frightening. Phillips says the military is already present in the states. They are making decisions about store closings in hours. They will be shutting down smaller roads and highways. And Kathy says, here's the thing, we all do what we can. We will all have to come to be a society that works together. It's what's going to happen. Because the elite, like Robert says, hang in there and don't die. The elite are going to do all they can for themselves and then cash out and leave us to deal with the consequences. Philip says panic is one thing, not preparing is something else. These people aren't preparing. You're not going in and filling your cart with toilet paper and Pop-Tarts to prepare. You know what I mean? And look at the things they're buying. They're just irrationally fear buying. Get a ham radio. I want to, man, just because it would be neat to have one. Like my hero in the truth movement and really the person that got me the most inspired to want to do something like this is William Cooper. And he did his show on a shortwave radio out of his shed, his little studio, his own little thing. And that may be where we end up because they're getting ready to take away the internet. I really think so. They're going to cut off our communication. And what I think is happening, and this again, I've been avoiding this for 20 minutes, we might as well just dive into it, is my theory, but I think we're witnessing the end of the United States and the end game rolling into place. I think that's what we're seeing here. You're seeing too many elites cashing out, and this, overly hyped pandemic being used to shut down society at a time when uprisings were happening literally all over the world. All over the world. There were multiple uprisings in dozens of countries going on. People taking to the streets, in mass. So all of that has been stopped with this. And it is my concern, my ultimate fear, and this is just a theory, based on what I'm seeing, that they may be moving into checkmate. It's definitely time to, if you're them. If you think about it from their side, it's time to move in. The people are rising up. There's an awakening happening. People are becoming awake and aware to things. things that they never were before, because they are learning to not trust the media and because they are informing themselves. But they're getting ready to take our ability to do that away and our ability to stay connected. I think the rug's getting ready to get pulled out from underneath us. I think it's getting ready to get really scary, and I really believe if the military is ever rolled out to shut down this country, they will never release that. And I don't think they're doing this over this virus. Kathy says blocking comments here. Are they really? You know, I knew that this would be a heavily suppressed feed. And, you know, we've been having technical problems, video problems, things like that. But if they're blocking comments on Facebook, we need to be really concerned. I worry about getting into this because I am super alarmed by what I'm seeing. This is what the final rollout would look like. And Jacob says the media makes everything worse. You're absolutely right. And I watch zero mainstream media. So I'm not trying to fearmonger or make people panic. And that's why I kind of am holding back still about what I really think is going on here. But this is how it would go down. This is how it would happen. They would never tell you, say the economy was collapsing. They would never tell you, not until they had everything in place and made sure they could completely control us. Then they would let you know when it's too late. When we're already in a full lockdown and it's done. And we need to be concerned right now. We need to be getting prepared right now. And I think things are getting ready to get very, very bad. Not because of this virus. Not that there isn't a virus. Again, I had to block somebody. Somebody I actually kind of liked. Bothers me because I don't like to block. You know, I don't want to create an echo chamber. I don't really like to. I keep people around as long as you're not abusive. But I did block this person. And even though I still feel bad about it, I was right to do it. Because I'm not wrong saying this fear is irrational. And it would be one thing if it was just what Jacob's saying, that the media makes everything worse. But it's not just the media doing it. It's governments. They're shutting down cities. They're shutting down countries. And from multiple people that I know that are enlisted in the service, they're being told they're getting ready to be activated for a 2-week shutdown of the United States. That is martial law. And if that happens, we are done for. If you ever see that happen, that's the end of life as we know it in the United States. I really don't believe it's being done because of a virus. And I'm not alone, apparently. Philip agrees with me. That's Liz, isn't it? This is the end of society as we know it. This virus was created to be the final takeover by the New World Order. You know, I'm seeing people praise this, that, oh, you're seeing all these CEOs step down and cash out. And this means there's people that actually believe that this means that this massive web of arrests is getting ready to take place. And I've seen those same people that believe that say that we may see us get placed in FEMA camps as a precaution. It's terrifying. You know, I knew, I don't want to call them out, but there's really no other way to do it. The Q people, the Q believers, they believe that that this is all being done to protect society for the mass arrests that are coming. If they do this, we are done. There is no mass arrest coming. I wish there was, but there's not. The end of America and society as we know it is, though. And we know that. We've known that for a long time. Before there ever was a Q or before there was ever any of that. We know what the end game looks like, and you're seeing it play out. You're describing it and saying it as it's a good thing. This is good, guys. Embrace it. Because they're going to do this and that with it. They see it happening. But they think it's for our own protection, for our own good. They're going to embrace it. It's terrifying. Because I do believe. It's the Conspiracy Theory Show. I'm just going to go ahead and admit it. I do believe that's what we're seeing right now. This is how it dies. It's how it ends. And their end game is, one of the main parts of their end game is the collapse of America. Helen says quarantine already takes care of soft targets. No school shootings, theater and concert shootings. And she said it glitched. Who do you have to block? I didn't block anybody during this feed. It wasn't during this feed. That happened like yesterday. Yesterday. No, I blocked somebody on Facebook. It was someone I recently had on the show, Matt Stuck. I recently interviewed him on the Daily Burn. He was mocking me. And I didn't like it. Like, especially when you factor in the fact that he pretty much kissed my ass on a constant basis to get me to do that, to have him on. And I'm not trying to say that to be a jerk. I'm saying it's because it's true. He messaged me all the time, like 5 to 10 messages a day for months before I finally had him on. And still afterwards messaged me all the time. Do a show with me, bro. Do a show with me, bro. And I'm like, why are you, of all people, mocking me so aggressively as well? Like, so I blocked him. Just figured he was being an ass. Jacob says, is the virus as bad as people make it? I really don't think so. And I'm only basing that on information from the CDC. Now, they have upped what they say the fatality rate is now at 5%. When I made the video, it was 2.3. That's what they were saying. I've seen it lower. But I used their numbers because I figured I might as well go ahead and use the official statistics because that's what's going to be tagged in the YouTube video, and it took them all of 10 minutes to do it. They tagged it directly to the CDC, and I was kind of glad because I was like, good, go there, because that's where I got every one of these numbers from. But if you compare it to the flu, and this is just a fact, the flu is much more deadly. Much more deadly. Even at the stats that are being given right now. And again, I say this fully acknowledging that there is a COVID-19 virus. But to just say coronavirus, that could be anything. They could have died of pneumonia. They could have died of the flu. They could have died of a respiratory infection. All caused by coronaviruses. Because coronavirus is a type of virus. If they're not saying we've had this many fatalities because of COVID-19, it's not what they're saying. People are letting them inflate the statistics. But even with the inflated statistics, up to 12 to 15,000 people have died so far this year from the flu, according to the CDC and the World Health Organization statistics from their own websites. So, and what, like 3,000 to 5, depending on where you get your sources from. Let's go as high as 7 have died from coronaviruses. Not COVID-19, coronaviruses. So you're dealing with inflated numbers anyway, but let's call it all COVID-19. So 7,000 compared to 12 to 15,000. And they got to say 12 to 15 because they can't get an accurate statistic on it. They never really do. You look up any year's statistics for deaths from the flu, and it's a range number. Jacob says, do you think China did it on purpose to kill off some of the people? Worst case scenario, if this is their end game and if I am right, it could be real. So that's why I guarantee you, and I tried explaining that to this guy, I'm not telling you the virus isn't real. Like I said before, it's either the Black Death or it's bullshit. It's got to be one or the other. Something's going on. It's being used in some way. Something's not on the up and up. Helen says the numbers are going to go up as more people are tested, as they should, but I'm saying report them as COVID-19. If you report it as coronavirus, this many people have died of coronavirus. That is a family of viruses. There are types of virus. That's what it is. COVID-19 is the strain that everyone is concerned about. Helen said never had 24/7 coverage of influenza numbers. No, this fear and this panic is irrational, and it really doesn't make any sense. And to be shutting down cities and countries and trade and the economy and people's way of lives over this is terrifying. And if you see military law roll out in this country, I seriously don't believe that lifts and America's ever the same again. I think we're seeing their end game play out, and if it is, then China may have released this to kill off some of the people. If it is a bioweapon, which I don't think is outside the realms of possibilities. Matter of fact, there are a lot of researchers in China and Japan that I could point you at that are saying it is. They're saying it came from America. And they actually are a little more specific than that. There was a bioweapons. Bioweapons are real. Like the other day, there was a skeptic that was at a feed, and I was talking about the coronavirus. And I mentioned it could be a bioweapon. They were laughing at me. Like, why is it funny? They're real. And they have multiple cases of them escaping these facilities and people being exposed. It's nothing to laugh at. It's nothing to turn a blind eye to, and it's definitely not ridiculous. So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities that it is a bioweapon, and it may be incredibly dangerous. I don't put that outside the realm of possibilities either, because one of the main things that they mean to do is to kill a vast majority of us off. Their end game is not pretty for us. And if this is it playing out, then we're in big trouble. And I hope you know where you're going or what you're going to do. Helen says it's a dress rehearsal. I hope she's right. It's something. It's something very big. It could be a dress rehearsal. But it looks very much like what the end would look like. And I'm just talking about the end of our way of life, which I think we all know is something they're moving towards. We know they don't have our best interest at heart. We know they don't work for us. They're open about the fact that they don't even see us as people. They see us as parasites. They think there's too many of us. You know, I've been making a video on the Georgia Guidestones trying to figure out a right time to release it. There's never going to be a perfect time to release it. I may as well just go ahead and get it done and put it out. They're open about the fact that they want there to be about 500 million of us. There's close to 8 billion of us. That means a lot of us got to go to meet their little number, to meet their goal. That's what they want. They plan to wipe us out. They want to hit reset. They don't think the problem is them. The problem is us. There's too many of us. So, is it outside the realm of possibilities, Jacob? No, it's not. They could have created it to wipe out a big part of humanity. Helen says, shit'll be different just like after 9/11. I wonder if it's going to be a lot worse. A lot worse. That's what my concern is. I think we're in big trouble here. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. Again, that's my theory. And like I said, my tinfoil hat is on fire. All the warning signs are there. This is what it would look like. Philip says, I think it's just part of the plan that's been in the program for many years. This is just part of the final plan. That's what I think too. I think we're seeing it play out right now. And if not, then it is a dress rehearsal of the final plan, because this is exactly what it would look like. Or this is the Black Plague, and everybody needs to be very concerned. I'm leaning towards the fact that this is probably the end for us. And like, it was funny today. My wife was asking me what we do now, and I all this time, I've been the conspiracy guy, and it's not that she doesn't believe in conspiracies or like conspiracies. She encourages and helps a lot with the show, and with topics and things for us to talk about. But she's never came to me before and been like, what's going to happen now? Today she was. And I was laying out, I think it's going to be bad. I think we need to figure out where we're going to go and get there. Be where you want to be and be prepared to be there, to be stuck there. And figure out what our plan would be moving forward. And it's going to be a lot of what Kathy was talking about earlier, being self-sustaining. So I think things are getting ready to get bad. If a mass awakening doesn't happen in time, I think they realize it's time to pull the strings and to move into checkmate. I think that's what you're seeing happening right now. I hope to God I'm wrong. But that's what I'm seeing. And, Helen was talking about 9/11. That was the thing that rattled me loose. And it was for a lot of people. But there is a mass awakening happening. And that's the reason why I think they're moving in for the kill. Yes, Philip says, yes, Helen, we are already losing our rights. And they just pushed the new Patriot Act introduced by Pelosi and Schumer. They tried to keep it as secret as they could. Nissa says that I look baked. I've noticed that before when I watch back the videos, for whatever reason, in the lighting, and I wish it was because I was baked, but in this lighting, my eyes get a glassy effect. I don't know. I've still yet to been able to get the lighting right. That part of our technical difficulties is my fault. A lot of this, though, is, I think, from active throttling. They're open. They're about their ability to do that, and I really think that they do it. I've been watching my output settings, and they're very normal. And like I said, before the show, I even cut the frame rate in half so that it would have no problem streaming it with a quality stream. So I apologize for the video glitches. But I think it's interference. I really do. Jacob says China's overpopulated. China is severely overpopulated. But a lot of the overpopulation, stuff is fear propaganda. There's a lot of empty space. You know, there's a lot of people in that one space, though. You're right about that. But that's what they think, though. They think there's too many people everywhere, not just in China. Philip says use incandescent light. That is Liz, right? It's been a while since you've shown up to a feed. I'm like 99.78% sure that is Liz. Helen says that she's only seeing her comments. Try leaving and coming right back. I've noticed they've done that to me. They're shenanigans. They pull shenanigans. And, one of the big ones is making sure that it doesn't get out in the algorithm. It doesn't really get out to a lot of viewers and people. They do that openly. They're open about the fact that they suppress conspiratorial content. They don't like that to get out. They don't like that to get attention. So this is unpopular speech, the most important kind. But yeah, don't fall for the overpopulation stuff. The overpopulation stuff is nonsense. But they do plan to depopulate. They have entire cities and very nice bunkers underground. With underground highways and tunnels, they're all connected. It's elaborate. And they plan to move forward. And part of moving forward is taking us down. The American way of life stands in the way of a lot of what's happening in their endgame. And the fall of America is a big part of their endgame. Jacob says, how do you feel about the lockdowns happening? I feel that it's terrifying and everybody needs to be very concerned. And that if you see martial law in the United States, there is no turning back. Lacey says, I think the HPV vaccine is depopulation agenda. Bill Gates is very involved in the depopulation agenda. It is one of his most important issues and one of the things he puts most of his money into. And the reason he says he does it is because vaccines will help with depopulation. Now, how could that be? If vaccines are really to make people more healthy, how would it drop population? In a dramatic way. He claims it will in a dramatic way drop the population. Helen says she had to leave and come back to be able to see the comments. Yeah, sometimes you do. There's shenanigans. That's a nice way to say it. They mess with it. They mess with the feeds. And I'm not the only live streamer that has those issues and talks about it. For a while I thought I was paranoid, but then other people have reached out to me and said that they've had similar problems. It's when you're talking about unpopular ideas and unpopular topics in a way that they don't want them discussed. And they suppress it. And I think that they will fully take this away from us soon. That we will be losing this. So I think it's a good idea to set up communications with people that you want to stay in touch with. To share, I guess, phone numbers or maybe CB radio contacts. I don't know what's safe to share or what's safe to continue on. I don't know what to tell you to do. But I think we're getting ready to be in a bad situation. And I hope I'm wrong again. And the only reason why I'm fully getting into it is because this is my safe space. This is my conspiracy theory show, and it's okay to let my mind run wild here. I'm saying this is my ultimate fear of what's going on right now. Because it's exactly what it would look like. It's like if I was writing a movie. It reminds me of the trailer for Gray State. What you're seeing right now. And by the way, look that up. I shared it a while back. That was a movie that was being made about exactly what's happening right now, the downfall of the United States. And the man who was making it was murdered. His whole family was murdered. Of course, they blame him and call it a murder suicide, but that's not what happened. He was killed to stop this movie from ever being made. Look up the Gray State on YouTube and be really careful when you do, because they have been very misleading, burying it with other false gray states. You'll have to go to their specific page to find the right one. It took me forever to find it. But watch it. It'll remind you exactly of what's happening right now. This is what it will look like. So I'm worried that that's what it is. Helen says, I love my CB in the 70s. They look fun. And Smokey and the Bandit. They look like they're having a lot of fun on that CB radio. Is CB something that can't be shut down? That would be a reliable, continued source of communication? And, I wouldn't imagine it has much reach. Or is what Kathy was saying earlier, like a ham radio or a shortwave radio, a better way to go? To continue to be able to get information out if we end up in a situation where the internet is taken away and our communication is taken down and the ability to inform yourself is removed. It wouldn't be that hard to turn the lights out on us. It's pretty neat, the levels of communication and the reach that we currently have, but we forget how easily that could be taken away. Philip says, I know that's Liz. Liz says, the elite just want to get the population down to an amount where they can control any revolt. At least I hope it's Liz. All of our appliances will surveil us under the Green New Deal plan. And to keep us in specified areas, most of the U.S. will be off limits. Only a few will be allowed to have cars, and they will only be electric, so that you can only be able to go certain places. Sounds like you're talking about Agenda 2030. Very interesting. I suggest you look into that. Yeah, I thought so, Helen. I suggest you look into that if you haven't, because they're in the open about it. They intend to move us all into smart cities and to cluster us all in. And if you look at the Agenda 2030 map, they're clear about where there will be unpopulated zones, and it's most of the United States. They're going to cluster us into smart cities, like a literal dystopian nightmare futuristic movie. The worst things you can imagine. America will not be nothing like what you are experiencing now. We allow them to move forward. There is no going back without a mass revolt. Hopefully that's what happens, because that would be the only way. We'll be in big trouble. I worry that the average, especially American, how they would react in that situation. The mass panic. There's going to be a zombie apocalypse, but it's going to be a bunch of panicked, terrified people ripping and clawing at each other. Helen says, all those futuristic movies where the people live in stacked closets? It's all predictive programming. Hollywood and the Illuminati and the powers that be are all intertwined. They own all the media, including Hollywood. It's all predictive programming. These futuristic movies where there's like 100-story buildings with little bitty shoebox apartments. That's exactly the future that they're pushing us towards. Yeah. Philip says even Bernie has a plan for a smart grid. Helen says, you get a pod, you get a pod, you get a pod. It's going to be huge. You're going to love your pod. No, This is bad moving forward. And you know what? I knew that Andrew Yang was just in the presidential election to push UBI and to get people warmed up to the idea of universal basic income. Look how quickly they're talking about rolling that out. Things are getting ready to get bad for us. I really think so. I think people need to get concerned. Not about the virus, about the reaction to it, and what's really going on behind that reaction, and what's the reason for it. But this has been Conspiracy Theories and Chill, and I want to thank you guys for hanging out and letting me just kind of run off at what I think I'm seeing here play out. And I appreciate you talking me through it and sharing your views on what you think is going on. But this is bad. I hope everybody at least sees that. The fear is something that, even if it's just the fear alone, is enough to cripple the economy and cripple society. We can't sustain this. The trucking system, the shipping system, the way that stores restock, none of it can sustain this panic buying and this outrageous, unnecessary fear. But the government and the media is pushing it. The entire power structure is pushing that we need to all be terrified and we need to shut everything down. And I think that there's a ton of red flags here, and there's a lot of reason to be concerned. But thanks for watching Conspiracy Theories and Chill. And next week we'll try to do more of a structured one, with an actual topic. I didn't really know what to call this because I wanted to talk about this, been wanting to talk about this, and this is really the only place to do it. Lacey says my hubby's bro was told to stay home and don't come to base. We'll see what happens. But thanks for watching Conspiracy Theories and Chill and hanging out with me and letting me talk to you about what's going on. And let me know what you think in the comments about what's happening. But thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys next week on the next episode. But my dog is scratching at the door, and I have to go let her out. So we're going to have to wrap up. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.